Good morning to one and all. Myself D. Rajita, working as a guest degree lecturer in mathematics at TTWRTC, Khamma. Today, I would like to explain some important topics in the group theory. So first of all, to explain a definition of a group theory, before explanation of a group definition, I would like to explain what is meaning by binary operation. So binary operation. Let G be a set. A binary operation on G is a function that assigns each order pair of element of G and element of G. In simple way, if you are taking a set G and a binary operation on G means it is a function, nothing but it is a function that will assigns each order pair of elements of G and element of G. In simple way, if you are applying the binary operator in between the elements of the set, for example, if you are taking two elements a comma b from the G, if you are applying a binary operator in mathematically, binary operator means nothing but it may be arithmetic operator in the sense that may be addition or subtraction or multiplication. When we are applying this arithmetic operator in between the elements of G, then we said that operator is nothing but binary operator. Binary operation is nothing but that is a function. Okay, function that assigns each order pair of elements of G and element of G. So here I will show that is this is the indication of the binary operator. And when we say this is a binary operation on G, if and only if a binary operator B belongs to G. That means if you are taking any two elements from G, when we are applying the binary operator in between the two elements like addition or subtraction and multiplication, the resultant element should be there in the G itself. Okay, then only we can say this binary operator is binary operation on G. Okay, this is the explanation regarding binary operation. Next I would like to explaining what is mean by algebraic structure. What is mean by algebraic structure? Algebraic structure is nothing but a non-empty set together with one or more than one binary operation is called algebraic structure. With examples, I will going to explain what is meant by algebraic structure. Here, in the first example, see, in the first example, what we are take here, r comma plus comma dot. Dot means here we have to take the multiplication. This is an algebraic structure. Here what we are doing, here r is nothing but a non-empty set, that is some real number set. In that real number set we are applying both the operators. What are the what are the binary operators here is addition as well as the multiplication. So that in terms of mathematically algebraically how we are showing here is r comma plus comma dot. That is nothing but the algebraic structure that indicates the binary operator addition and multiplication will be operator on the set real numbers. Okay, and this is the first example, and here we are applying in the first example both the two binary operators we are applying here. In the second example, see, so first set, what is the first set by what is the first structure, n comma plus. What is mean by this is n is nothing but here natural numbers and plus is addition. So we are applying the binary operator addition on the natural numbers. So this indication it is called it as algebraic structure. Similarly, this is z comma plus, that means z is already been you know that is nothing but integers. So here also we are applying the binary operator addition on the integers. This is the structure of algebraic structures. And q plus is also, it is a, here also we are applying the binary operator addition on the rational numbers. Like this we will indicate the algebraic structure. Okay, these are all called the algebraic structure. Next, go for the groups. What are the groups? So here the definition of a group. So what is the definition of group is a non-empty set G together with an operation, here that is binary operator, is called a group if the following conditions are satisfied. So here what I am taking here is I am taking a set, a non-empty set G. When and here applying the binary operator, when we said if J is a group means if the set G will satisfy these four conditions, four properties. What are the four properties here is first property. First property is closure property, axiom. Both we can say like this, closure property as well as closure axiom, which will be the same. So closure property, second one is associative property, and third one is existence of identity, and fourth one is existence of inverse. So what is mean by closure property? Closure property means if you are taking any two elements from G, when we are applying the binary operator in between the two elements, the resultant element should be there in G. Then only we can set that elements of G will satisfy the closure property. That is the first condition. And what is the second condition? Associative property. What is mean by associative property means we in this property what we have to do is we have to take the three elements from the set G. So when we are applying the binary operator in between these three elements, however you want to apply, you can apply. They won't change the result. For in the first one, what we are doing, first we are applying the binary operator first two elements. Then after coming the resultant element, again we are applying with the third element. Right? So however you will apply the binary operator in between these three elements, the result will be the same. Then only we said that the set of elements of G will satisfy the associative property. So come to the third one, which is nothing but the existence of identity. Existence of identity means there exists an element E belongs to G called identity, such that A binary operator E equal to E binary operator A equal to A for all A belongs to G. What is mean by that is compulsory there should be there exists an element E in the set G, that we call it as an identity. When it will call it as identity means when we are applying with this element to another element a binary operator, again it has to come the same element, that is A. Here we took an element A for all elements A belongs to G, and applying the binary operator in between the identity element and this element A, what should has to come? A should has to come. Okay, then we said E will call it as an identity element. Okay, next, existence of inverse. What is mean by existence of inverse? So for every element A belongs to G, there exists A inverse belongs to G, such that A inverse binary operator A equal to A binary operator A inverse. What should has to come? Identity element has to come. Then we can say that A inverse is called the inverse of A. So for every element in G, there exists compulsory A inverse belongs to G. How they should be? Such that A inverse binary operator A is equals to A binary operator A inverse should come, E should come. Then we can say A inverse is called it as inverse of A, and A also called inverse of A inverse. Both the ways we can say. Okay, so here we can say A inverse is called inverse of A and A is called inverse of A inverse. Like this we can say. Okay, so if the set of elements of G will satisfy all these four conditions, then we can say G will form a group under binary operator. Okay, that binary operator may addition, subtraction or multiplication. Okay, so this is the group definition. Next, go for the abelian group. What is meant by abelian group? So for abelian group we have to take a group. Okay, a group G comma binary operator here is called abelian group or commutative group if A binary operator B is equals to B binary operator A. That means if you are applying a binary operator in between the two elements, in the vice versa you can apply, then result will not change. Okay, and here we are taking A comma B belongs to G. In between we are applying, first we are applying in between A and B, and next we are applying in between B and A. Then the result will not change. Then we can say the group will called abelian group or commutative group. So here I am giving some examples for a abelian group. See here, z comma plus, z is nothing but set of integers, and plus this is a algebraic structure. How I am showing the algebraic structure here is, see, z comma plus, and that means z set of integers. Here binary operator, which binary operator we took here is addition. So under addition, set of integers will form an abelian group. Okay, and next q is nothing but the rational numbers. Okay, rational numbers and comma plus. So here set of rational numbers under addition will form a commutative group. Okay, next r is nothing but a real numbers and comma plus. Under addition, set of real numbers will form a commutative group. So these three are the examples for the abelian group. These three algebraic structures are under binary operator addition, that you have to remember. Okay, so next, second one, another example here. What is an example in the second one? Q naught in the sense set of rational numbers without zero element, under multiplication. Dot means here multiplication. And set of algebraic structure here, what is the algebraic structure is set of rational numbers without zero element under multiplication will form a commutative group. Okay, and another algebraic structure is also there. See, and set of real numbers without zero element under multiplication, under binary operator, which is multiplication, which will form the commutative group. Okay, here in this group, in this algebraic structure, what will be the identity element is 1 will be the identity element, and 1 by a is the inverse of a in each case. So one thing most probably we will use under addition, the identity element will be the 0. Under multiplication, 1 will be the identity element. Okay, so most of cases that will be formed like that, but for every group that is not form a under addition, it is 0 element is an identity element, we can't say, but probably we will use under addition identity element is 0, under multiplication 1 will be the identity element. Okay, and what is the third one? Third one is nothing but here we are taking the matrices. Which type of matrices we are taking here is the set of all m by n matrices, real and complex, with matrix addition as a binary operation. Here which operator we are using here is matrix multiplication. Okay, is a commutative group. So all set of all m by n matrices will form commutative group under matrix addition. Okay, in this set of m by n matrices, the 0 matrix is the identity element. Here under addition, the 0 matrix will be the identity element, and the inverse of matrix will of A is minus A. So what will be meaning of 0 matrix is 0 0 0 0 for 2 by 2 matrices. Okay, this is the third example for abelian group. So next, what is the theorem? So now I would like to explain a theorem, important theorem. The theorem name is uniqueness of identity. What is mean by uniqueness of identity? That means there exists in a group identity element will unique. So that is the statement here. The identity E in a group always unique. This is the statement of uniqueness of identity. So proof. Now we will see the proof. If possible, suppose what I am taking here is E and E dash are two identity elements in a group G. So in the statement what they given, the identity element E in a group always unique. To prove that one, I am going in converse way. Converse way means they are what you have to prove. We have to prove that E is an identity element will have unique. What I am supposing here doing is I am taking two identity element will present in a group. that is E comma E dash. So what is the E is? E is an identity element. By the definition of identity element, we can write it as AE equal to EA equal to A. That we already know. So next E dash. E dash is also an identity element. In the index I said like that. Okay. Then for E dash an identity element, by the definition of identity element, what we can write here? A into E dash equal to E dash into A equal to A. So from these both the condition, both the statement, here we will have the both the statements, right? Yeah. Here this one, this one. From these both the statement, can I write AE dash equal to AE equal to EE dash equal to E dash equal to E dash? Yeah, we will write like that. So from which we can it come it as it will come like E equal to E dash. So therefore there exists identity element in a group always unique. This is the proof of uniqueness of identity. And next, next theorem. Here, what is our theorem here is cancellation law. What is meant by cancellation law? Here theorem is the cancellations laws. So what is meant by cancellations laws? We will see now. Okay, what is the statement? Statement here is, suppose A comma B comma C are arbitrary elements of a group G. Then first one, AB equal to AC, that implies B equal to C. This is called it as left cancellation law. In the second one, second point, BA equal to CA, that implies B equal to C. This is called it as right cancellation law. So this is the statement for the cancellation law. So here in the statement, what they took here is, they took three arbitrary elements from a group. Here G is a group. From the group we have to prove left cancellation law, right cancellation law. Now we will see the proof. How we will prove this statement. Now we are going to see. So here, let E be the identity element in a group G. So G is a group, then there exists an identity element in a group. That element I am taking here it as E. And we are taking, already in the index they given three arbitrary elements. What are the three arbitrary elements? A comma B comma C belongs to G. Be the arbitrary element. So what is the first statement? In the first they given that AB is equals to AC. So that one I took it here. AB is equals to AC. So what I am doing here is, since G is a group, so there exists inverse for A and B also. So for A I am taking the A inverse, and both the side, left side I am multiplying with inverse of A. So when we are applying A inverse on the both the side to the left, what will happen? That implies A inverse into AB is equals to A inverse into AC. Isn't it? So what will happen, since this is a G is a group, by associative law what we can write, what we can say, A inverse A into B is equals to A inverse A into C. By associative law we can write it as like this. So already we know that is G is a group. By existence of identity element, what we can write, A inverse A will form it E. A inverse A is nothing but E. That value I substituted here. So in the similar way, in the right side also A inverse E. So the value of A inverse E is nothing but E. So since E is an identity element, so EB equal to nothing but B. That we already know by the definition of identity element. And here also EC is equals to EC. C. So at final what we got it here, when we are taking AB is equals to AC, what we got here is B equal to C. So by this is called the cancellation law. Why we are telling this is cancellation law means, we are multiplying on the both the side with the inverse of A to the left side, so that they by multiplying these elements we got the identity element. This statement is called left cancellation law. Okay, go for the next one. What is the next one? Now by index I am taking BA is equals to CA. Here what I am doing here is I am multiplying with the inverse of A to the right side. Okay, to the right side. What will happen when we are multiplying to the right side? BA into A inverse equals to CA into whole inverse. By since G is a group, by associative law what we can write? B into A inverse is equals to C into A inverse. By inverse law, definition of inverse, we can write A inverse is equals to E. Therefore, we got BE is equals to CE. As we already know, definition of identity, BE equal to B. BE equal to B and CE equal to also C. So, what we got here is when we are taking BA is equals to CA, we got it here like implies B equal to C. This is called right cancellation law. So is it clear so far? So next, what is the example? Some example I took here. So what is the example here is, what is the first one? The positive integer form a cancellative semi-group under addition. Under addition, semi-group will be the cancellative group. Under positive integer, that you have to remember. And next, the non-negative integers form a cancellative monoid under addition. Under addition, monoid will form cancellative monoid under addition. That is non-negative integer. That is also you have to remember. And third one, this is a very important. Just listen here. The cross product of two vector does not obey the cancellation law. Here, when we are applying the cross product in between two vectors, they won't obey the cancellation law. If A cross B equal to A cross C, then it does not follow B is equals to C, even if A is not equal to 0. That you already know. And next one. So here one more thing, fourth one. This is also very important. Here, matrix multiplication also does not necessarily obey the cancellation law, and matrix multiplication also does not necessarily obey the cancellation law. For that, I am taking an example here. Listen carefully. AB is equals to BC and A is not equal to 0. Here what I am considering is set of all 2 by 2 matrices. Set of all 2 by 2 matrices with integer quotient. What we took here is quotient as integers. The matrix multiplication is defined by, as you already know the matrix multiplication of 2 by 2 here. What I took here, A, B, C, D, A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash is equals to, under multiplication we can write A dash plus B C dash, AB dash plus BD dash, CA dash plus DC dash and CB dash plus DD dash. This is the multiplication of 2 by 2 matrices, right? It is associative. So, we already know this is associative. And 1, 0, 0, 1 is identity. And this is also, this matrix 2 by 2 matrix is identity. But the cancellation law does not follow. Why this is not follow? I will explain through an example. So this is an example here. This is the example. See here. What I took here is 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0. When we are applying these two matrices, what we'll get? 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. And next one. Next, see here. I am taking another 2 by 2 matrices. 0, 1, 0, 0. 3, 0, 0, 0. When we are multiplying these two matrices, what will come? 0, 0, 0, 0. By these two equations, what we can write, ma? And by these two equation, can I write like this? 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0 equal to 0, 1, 0, 0, 3, 0, 0, 0. Right? So, by using left cancellation, when we are cancelling the left term, what will happen? 0, 2, 0, 0 equal to 3, 0, 0, 0, which will be the contradiction, because these two matrices are not equal. So here cancellation law will get fail under matrix multiplication. So what we can say is, matrix multiplication also does not necessarily obey the cancellation law. If you are in your examination time, if they ask question like this, you can give this is the best example for the question. Okay, this is a very important one. And next, yeah, this is next theorem, uniqueness of inverse. What is mean by uniqueness of inverse? The statement of uniqueness of inverse is the inverse of each element of a group is unique. In a group, every element will, for every element there exists inverse, but that will be the unique. That is the statement of uniqueness of inverse. So what is the proof? Here will be the proof here. So how we define a proof is, if possible, in the similar way how we are using uniqueness of identity, here also I took if possible, I let a comma b be two elements of a group. This a comma b are the elements of a group, so that what I am taking here is b is the inverse of a and a is the inverse of b. Like that I took the elements from group G. Okay, BA by inverse law what we can write, BA is equals to AB, that equal to E. I am taking that is an equation 1. Okay, as we already said that if possible there exist two inverses for an element A. That second inverse element is C. So both B and C will be the inverse element of A if possible I am taking. Okay, so for B is the inverse of A, as already said, BA equal to AB equal to B, that is the equation 1. When C is the inverse of A, I can write CA equal to AC equal to E, that is the second equation. Alright, so here what is the E? E is nothing but an identity element. So here from two equations, what we can write it here is BA equal to E equal to CA, right? Okay, so BA equal to E equal to CA or BA equal to CA. By using the right cancellation law, what we can write, B equal to C. So this, what are these B and C? These are the two inverses of A. If possible, I took like this. But what we got finally, the two inverses will be the same. That means what we can say is the inverse of each element of a group is unique. Okay, this is the proof for the uniqueness of inverse. And next one, what will be the next? Yeah, next theorem. Here the next theorem, what is the theorem is, the left identity is also the right identity. What here I am saying is the left identity is also the right identity. So what is the proof? How I am proving this one? This statement is, let E be the left identity of a group G. I am taking E be the left identity of a group G, and A belongs to G be the arbitrary, then EA equal to A. So E will be the identity, left identity of a G. I am taking an arbitrary element, that is A belongs to G. So from the identity law, what we can write it, ma? EA equal to A. So what you have to prove? To prove that E is also the right identity. That only know the statement, the left identity is also the right identity. Okay, so what you have to prove is, to prove that E is also that right identity. It suffices to show that AE equal to A. To prove that E is also right identity, it is enough to show that AE equal to E. So for that, what I am taking here is, suppose A inverse is the left inverse of A. So what I am taking, I am already took the arbitrary element from G as A. So for A belongs to G, there exists A inverse. So but for that I am took here, suppose A inverse is the left inverse of A. Then A inverse is the left inverse of A. Then we can write A inverse A is equals to E. I am taking this equation as a 2. Okay. So since G is a group, by associative law, what we can write it here? A inverse of AE is equals to A inverse A into E is equals to E by second equation. By second equation we can write A inverse A into E is equals to E. As we already know, A inverse A is nothing but E. Okay, already E is equals to nothing but by second equation E is equals to A inverse A. From these statement, these two statement A inverse of AE is equals to A inverse A. That implies AE is equals to A by left cancellation law. Here we proved that AE is equals to E. Okay, so this is the proof, the continuation, this is the proof for the equation. So next here reverse rule. This is also very important rule. What is the rule is nothing but reverse rule. So what is the statement of rule is, let A and B be the elements of a group. What I am taking from the group G is A and B. Then AB whole inverse we can write it as B inverse A inverse. So for that proof, generally what we have to write is by the index what we can write, consider an arbitrary element A and B of a group G. So from the group what I took here is two arbitrary elements A and B. Since G is a group, for every element there exists inverse. So for A there exists inverse, for B there exists inverse. So since B inverse and A inverse are inverses of B and here some mistake is the here clearly observe here, B inverse and A inverse are the inverses of B and A respectively. Sorry for the inconvenience, this is the small mistake, I forgot to correct it. So here what is the, since B inverse and A inverse are the inverses of B and A respectively. That means B inverse is the inverse of B and A inverse is the inverse of A. So from the inverse law what we can write, B inverse B is equals to B, B inverse equal to E, and A inverse A equal to A inverse equal to E. This is I am taking equation 1. Next, to prove the statement by the associative law, what we can write, what I am taking here is AB into B inverse A inverse. By associative law I am taking here. By associative law what we can write here is AB into B inverse A inverse, can write it as BB A into BB inverse A inverse. By inverse law we can write it as BB inverse is nothing but E. Okay, and A inverse is nothing but A inverse. We wrote like this here. So at finally you got A inverse is equals to E. I am taking this equation as a 2. So from two equations, so here what you got in the second equation, AB into B inverse A inverse is equals to nothing but identity element. By identity element definition, what we can say, B inverse A inverse is the inverse of AB inverse. That only I wrote here. AB whole inverse is equals to B inverse A inverse. In generalization, this result we can obtain. Here with the example what we took, two elements from the group, we proved that AB whole inverse is equals to B inverse A inverse. In general way, any elements from group, that may be A, B, C and so on, whole inverse will become C inverse, B inverse, A inverse. In generalizing this result we can obtain that statement. Okay, next, this is nothing but the reverse rule. So after the reverse rule, one more important theorem. What is our theorem here is, if let G be a group and A belongs to G, then A inverse whole inverse equal to A. From this statement can I say like this, the inverse of A inverse is equals to A. Right it now? So what we can say, the inverse of A inverse is nothing but A. That is the statement here. So what here, let A inverse be the inverse of an element A. Since we are taking an element A from G, since G is a group, So from group we can say there exists inverse of A. I am taking that inverse as A inverse. Therefore, A inverse be the inverse of an element A of a group G. Then by inverse law can I write A inverse A equal to E. I am taking this equation as a 1. So what should you have to prove? To prove the inverse of A inverse is A. Inverse of A inverse is A. So pre-multiplying equation 1. What I am doing here is pre-multiplying equation by A inverse whole inverse. I am taking equation 1. I am multiplying with A inverse whole inverse now. See, from equation 1, this is our equation 1. What I am doing, I am pre-multiplying with A inverse whole inverse. What will it will come? Then equation 1 will become changes to A inverse whole inverse A inverse A. So by associative law, what can I write here? A inverse into A will be the E. A inverse into A will become E. Therefore, A inverse whole inverse into E. This is by associative law. So what will be the next step? In the next step, we got it here is EA is equals to A inverse whole inverse. Okay. So at final we can write A equal to A inverse whole inverse. Therefore, inverse of A inverse is nothing but A. In remark, we can remember inverse of identity element is itself. Inverse of identity element is itself. That is E. This is the identity element. This is the proof for the inverse of any inverse is A inverse is A. Next. Yeah. Till now I explained what is the definition of a group and some theorems, some examples on a groups. Here now I would like to explain the application of group theory in our real life. How we will use. So for solving a Rubik's cube and NH3 molecule, while solving our Rubik's cube, already we know the how to solve the Rubik's cube. While solving the Rubik's cube, we will follow some formulas. In that formulas, we will have the some axioms, that is closure, associative, existence of identity and existence of inverse. How we will use that axioms in these Rubik's cubes? Let me see here. So here first axiom, what is our axiom? Closure property. So here when we are solving these Rubik's cube, when we are turning the levels, when we are turning predefined list of action that never changes, that will never changes. When we are turning right, left, U, when we are turning these sides, we never changes the list of this predefined structure. So that is nothing but the closure property. When we are applying the operation in between these by solving these one, we are not at all changing the actions of predefined one. So never changes. That will nothing but the closure property. So next one, associative law. What is meant by associative law? Means when we are applying these moves, while solving the Rubik's cube, we will move the Rubik's cube right, left, U and C, like that. When we are while moving this one, here we will based on the color. See, in the associative, yeah, here in the associative, when we are first moving yellow and blue, after then we are moving the pink shade and I think blue or green, whatever we are moving, at final what you will get, the combination of three colors. Okay. Next, when we are first moving blue and pink, after that if you are move with yellow color, again it will come the three colors. They will no change, they will not affect to the next color. Okay, the result will be the same. That is the associative law. Here also see, and when you are using the 2x2 Rubik's cube also, we are not at all changing, they will not at all changing the colors. So here the associative law by solving the Rubik's cube. Next, identity element. When we are taking this identity element, when we are turning the levels of Rubik's cube, if you are turning 4 times, right, 3 times for the 3 by 3 matrices, when we are turning 3 times, the fourth time it will come again the same place. They will no change. So that 3 moves is called the identity, right? That 3 moves are called, that is identity. This is the existence of identity. So next is inverse law. What is meant by inverse law is, when we are applying the right u front, when we are moving the Rubik's cube, and again if you are moving to the reverse, that is first front and u and r, you will come that is identity. That is nothing but the identity. That is the inverse law. Here we can apply. That is for the Rubik's cube. In the Rubik's cube, we will have the 4 axioms, that is the closure law, associative law, and existence of identity, and existence of inverse. In the same manner, in NH3 molecule, in this ammonia molecule, okay, closure property. How the closure property will satisfy the condition, we will see here. The product of two element must be the members, that is be the member of that set. So considering here, what we are considering, E and C3. These two elements we are considering. When we are applying product of, then the product of is EC3 will become equal to C3 equal to C3. Okay, therefore what we can say, the closure law will satisfy the elements of NH3 will satisfy the closure law. Next, associative law. What it states is, it states that when you add or multiply any 3 real numbers, the grouping of the numbers does not affect the result. That is the property of associative law. So in NH3, what I am taking, instead of A, what I am taking here is E, instead of B, C3, instead of C, sigma B. When we are applying these through, and when we are applying an operator, multiplying or adding, the grouping of the number does not affect the result. So here the resultant will be the same. E into C3 omega sigma V is nothing but E into C3 dash sigma V. This is the structure of this associative law. Just you can observe, you can say that will satisfy the associative law. Next, this is the RS side, and in before side we took LHS side. So that means E3 and C3 sigma V, this is the LH side, and RS side, RH side is right hand side. In the right hand side we took first E into C3, then we apply the sigma V, then the resultant will be the same, that is LHS is equals to RHS. Therefore associative law is satisfied. Next, what is our next one? Identity law. What we said, identity property is, the law of identity states that each thing is identical with itself. Each thing will identical with itself. So for that, what I took here is AE equal to EA equal to A. That means here, what is the identity element here, ma? E. E will be the identity element. So for that, what I took here is one electron, E C2 equal to C2 E. When we are chemical bonding, what will happen? C2 will come. So here also the identity law obeys by the NH3 molecule. So this is the best example. Next, inverse law. What is the inverse? In the inverse law, what they state is, it states that when you add or multiply a number by its opposite, that yield 0 or 1 respectively. So for the inverse, under addition, what will happen if A is the element of G under addition, under the group addition, then what will be the inverse? Minus A will be the inverse. When we are applying the A minus A, what will happen? Minus A plus A will, it will come identity element, that is the 0. As we already know, identity element under addition most probably 0. Or A inverse. When under multiplication, the inverse of A will become A inverse. A inverse is equals to A inverse A, that will come identity element. For this law, in NH3 molecule, what we'll have to consider is C2. C2 will be the inverse of C2 and C2 will be the inverse of C2. What will come? It will come identity element. As we already know, for MH3 molecule, the identity element is E. So when we are observing these structure here, we can easily identify that one. So this is the seminar for today. Thank you so much for giving this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.